I've gained over 338,000 followers on LinkedIn and generated millions of dollars from LinkedIn over the last 2 years. In this video, I'm gonna explain exactly how I've done it so you too can grow your business and your personal brand just like I have. I can almost guarantee that if you apply the strategies I'm gonna give you so you can copy and paste, that you too will be able to gain thousands of followers on LinkedIn and be able to drive leads for your own business. And it's really important that each step I'm going to tell you is useless without the others. So make sure you get out your notepad and take notes because you need to follow along everything I say. I want to talk about why I started going hard on LinkedIn and why you should too. So everyone who's not making money on LinkedIn loves to hate on it, right? So many people troll it. I was in that bucket too. I didn't really understand it. I didn't really get it. I also felt that the same way about Twitter. That I thought Twitter was just for trolls. So everyone has this stigma about LinkedIn unless you're actually making money on LinkedIn. Then you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. And the study found that 80% of B2B leads on social media come from LinkedIn. So more than 3/4 of the leads that are organic and generated on social media are coming from LinkedIn. And if you're not on there, you're leaving a huge amount of leads on the table. If you are on there, you're probably not doing it to your full ability. So that convinced me to drive and kind of take a real shot at it. Because at the time, 2 years ago, I was driving zero revenue from LinkedIn. And now it's a majority of my revenue. And when I started studying people's content on LinkedIn back then, it was very vanilla. It wasn't great. It was very basic. It wasn't helpful. So that to me signaled a huge opportunity to crush it. And while the opportunity still exists today, the content has gotten better, but still such a small percentage of people are actually creating content on LinkedIn that it really is a wide open blue ocean of opportunity. I think any person in any niche could come on LinkedIn. And if you have the audience there of business professionals, entrepreneurs, marketers, freelancers, copywriters, founders, right? Those types of people, you're going to do really, really well. And LinkedIn, right, is the largest world's kind of professional network there is. They have 1 billion members in more than 200 countries, and 134 million of them log on every single day. About 500 million people are active on the platform every single month. So this is the platform for B2B. Get that through your head. I'm going to share my playbook. So let's dive in. So today we're going to talk about kind of 4 primary things. Number 1 is all the things that you need to know before you start posting content. So optimizing your profile, really making sure that it's buttoned up. Number 2 is we're going to talk about how to post content, what to post, what's working really well. Number 3 is great. Now that your profile is optimized, you're posting content, how do you actually grow your following? And then the last one is once you're getting views, how do you turn those views into leads? So if you want to generate LinkedIn leads, inbound as well as outbound, this is the playbook and the video for you. And then the last thing, right? If you are already using LinkedIn, but you're not doing well, you're likely missing one of the 4 things I'm going to talk about. For example, if you share a ton of value, but you're only posting once a month, you won't grow your account. You're just not posting consistently enough. However, if you are posting consistently, but you're not sharing value, you're not going to grow. So you really want to make sure that you listen up to what I'm going to share with you, because this is the trick. This is the playbook to how I've acquired personally over 1 million followers for the network that I own. And I work with a bunch of clients as well, work with hundreds of clients, and they're growing, thousands and 10,000s of followers every single month. All right, so this is the baseline of the profile. This is getting started and optimizing your profile. Step 1, right? What is the goal of your profile? And really, you have to answer the question, why am I posting on LinkedIn? What do you want out of it? And there's a host of reasons. You might want leads. You might want to get speaking opportunities. You might want business opportunities. Maybe you have a newsletter that you want to grow. Maybe you want to network kind of specifically or generally with certain people. Or maybe you want to recruit people for your business. Maybe you want to hire a COO, or you want to hire a marketing manager or a virtual assistant. LinkedIn is great for all of these things, but it's best if you just hone in on one. And I'd imagine for most of you guys, you're probably going to want to use LinkedIn to acquire clients, to get leads. So let's start there, right? And then you work kind of backwards and you build out your whole profile around you being an expert around the thing that you want to sell to other people. So for me, right, my whole thing is I'm an email marketer. I'm one of the best email marketers in the world. I've been doing email marketing for a long time. So I built my entire profile around the authority and the goal of I want to teach email marketing and I want to attract clients that need email marketing, specifically businesses that are doing at least $1 million a year. So all my content, my profile, everything, go look at it after, is kind of revolved around that. And I reverse engineer that. You basically want to figure out who you're trying to attract and define that. The next thing, right, is once you understand your goal, right? So again, assuming that it's leads, you want to make sure that you understand the type of content that you need to create, the type of profile information you need to put to attract that ideal client. So again, for me, if I'm trying to attract, let's say, e-commerce brands doing at least $1 million a year in revenue, I need to make sure I understand the problems and the pain points, their fears, their desires, their goals, their aspirations, their frustrations. right? So, and the ways in which you do that is you have to basically answer the questions. What are the things that they think about? How do they feel? What keeps them up at night? What are their goals? And what are they looking for help with? So typically for me, with the e-commerce email marketer kind of in mind and wanting to become the agency of record for these big brands, I'm either speaking to the founder, the CEO, the CMO, or some kind of VP of marketing is typically my target of who I want to attract. So I have to think about these things that they want, right? If it's a VP of marketing or a CMO, they're being held accountable to the founder or the CEO for driving tons of revenue from their retention efforts. So from their email, their SMS, their push, they need to drive substantial revenue from those channels. And oftentimes, the problems they face is they're not acquiring enough leads. They're not able to convert leads. They're not able to drive repeat purchase. They don't know how to increase their lifetime value. So I need to talk about these things in my content and really speak to the problems that they're facing, which is really around driving engagement and driving revenue from their email and retention channels. And with that, right, is once we understand them, we can start creating content from a place that speaks to them. So it's really important that you understand your goal and you understand then the people that you need to meet your goals. So landing clients, and then who is the person that can hire you. And with that, right, now that we know the goal, we want to build out our profile and optimize our profile. And the way that you think about your profile is just like you think of a website or a landing page. This is someone's first impression of you. And you want to make sure that you look presentable, that you look professional, that you look approachable. And with that, there's kind of four primary sections I want to focus on. So you want to focus on the headline, which I'm going to go through some examples, the profile photo and banner or background image, the about section, and then the featured section. I'm gonna have tons of examples for all these right now, so don't worry. So starting with the headline, basically what you want is with your headline, when someone lands on your profile, within 6 seconds or less, you want someone to be able to know who you are, who you help, and what you do, right? So kind of the formula that we've come up with is what you do, who you help, and the outcomes you generate. It's that simple. And if you want to have things like social proof to enhance your credibility, that's great as well. So look at mine, for example. So right here, kind of in this box on my screen, and kind of put it right here, my headline is top e-commerce email marketer and agency owner, right? So really quickly, you understand that I'm a top email marketer and that I own an agency, and specifically around e-commerce. And then the social proof and kind of the credibility piece is we've sent over 1 billion emails, generating over $200 million in revenue for our clients, right? So very quickly to understand, Chase is an expert at e-commerce email marketing, and he's done some really great results, right? So that draws people in. That's step one. And here's kind of two other headlines. Jackson right here, what I really like is he makes it super clear that he does Google and YouTube ads for e-commerce brands. And then also what's really nice is he kind of name drops some of his main clients, like Lamborghini, Tabs, etc. So just really great social proof. And also too, because of LinkedIn search, if you're looking for these companies, you might see his profile. He might be able to rank for those. And then here, really simply for this guy, Ken, he kind of follows the formula I mentioned to a T. What you do, who you help, and the outcomes you generate. So he helps, right, accelerate solopreneurs and agency founders with sales and systems. He bootstrapped his own business to $5 million plus, and he wants to teach you how to scale basically with scalable offers, right? So super quick to understand why you should follow him, why you should follow Jackson, and what they're going to teach you about. So the next step, right, is the profile photo and the banner. So you can see here the profile photo. I'm looking dressed up. I look smiling. I look professional, look preventable, I'm presentable. It was at a wedding, right? So those types of things. So that's a good profile photo. It draws people in. I look professional. I look happy. I look like someone that is warm and approachable. And the next part right here is the banner. So this is kind of the background image. I have my name. I kind of have a sentence of like what I do. I kind of talk about that and I share my email. And then I have a photo of me, right? So again, I come across as warm and friendly, as well as social proof and kind of having a unique selling proposition. So, right, this profile all works together. They can read here, right, if they want to read. But this is very visual. They can really quickly glean and understand what I say. And I've kind of popularized people adding kind of revenue numbers in e-commerce. So that's important as well. And the more revenue driven, the better it's going to land and come across. So another one that you can do is a great example of my friend Laura. She has basically hack your way into LinkedIn's top 1%. She has some social proof around like where she's been featured, and then she talks about her newsletter. So great use of colors, great use of her coming across kind of as a professional, and just really kind of a clean example. So she's a great person to kind of look at her profile as well. And it's really easy to make templates and banners like this within Canva. They have a lot of free ones. You just search LinkedIn banner. So hopefully that's helpful. And then the next thing I want to call out is your headline, press your profile photo are seen by people for whom you leave the content. So you really want to be strategic and think about this. So here for me as an example, I left a comment on someone's post. I don't know whose post it was, where you can see again my photo, my name, and you can see kind of a decent amount of kind of my headline. So just like a subject line within an email, not the entire thing cuts off. There's character limits, right? So the entire thing isn't shown, but you see enough to understand that I have credibility in email marketing. And right, I've sent over 1 billion. If you look at my profile, it draws people there, etc. Okay, so I know we're going kind of quickly through this. I have a lot of information I want to present. So at any point in time, if you have any questions, post up the questions. If you want to kind of pause and kind of replay things, do that. Take notes. So I have a lot to keep going through. The next is the about section. So this really talks about who you are and why you do what you do. So you want to answer that question: who am I and why do I do what I do? Right? So here we want to talk about a couple things. Number one, your professional story. And with this, we're going to highlight, our achievements, skills, and how we can help people get their desired results. So for me, I talk about in my section, I'm an e-commerce email marketer. I run a top agency in the space. I share some of my accolades. So kind of where I talked about, um, I got voted as the number one e-commerce influencer by Shopify Plus. I run the kind of top partner at Klaviyo and SendLane based off of the number of clients and revenue we have with them. And then I kind of just share some of my well-known current and previous clients. So it's important to list names there for things that either people would know and then they'd be impressed with. So I talk about like Poopery, the spray for the bathroom, Eat Sleep, the mattress company. I talk about the kombucha company, Health Aid. I talk about the alcohol company, June Shine. So I really just talk about impressive names that either people are searching or aware of and familiar with, just to really solidify the fact that I am legit and I know who the best of the best are, and we work with the best of the best. And then I work with a call to action that basically says, hey, if you want to work with a great e-commerce email marketing agency, email me here. And then I mentioned my email. So really quickly, this is kind of my personal one. So I say, hey, I'm building Structured. We're a top e-commerce email marketing agency. We're the top partner of Klaviyo and SendLane. I mentioned that. I've also been ranked by LinkedIn as the top email marketer on the platform. And then here's kind of some of the revenue we've driven. And if you want to hire us, right, it's very punchy. It's very packed about what I do. There's no fluff. There's no BS. And it's just like, hey, get in contact with me. And a lot of people email me coming from LinkedIn, and a lot of people DM me directly on the platform saying, hey, I've been super impressed with your content, been a long time follower, would love to connect with you, those types of things. And then the last one kind of that's really important too is this featured section. And this takes up kind of prominent real estate on your profile. And it's kind of like your store display. So you want to make it easy for the people that visit your profile to take an action. So I recommend 1 to 2 things here. So for me, I'm showcasing my LinkedIn newsletter, which is an easy way for them to just one click and subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter. And then I link out to a 5-day free kind of course I made on LinkedIn, which by the way, highly recommend checking that out. I'll have a link in the description somewhere for that. It's a 5-day email sequence where I share a lot of this information as well as other things. And it's just a really great format as well. So make sure you check that out after this video ends because there's some stuff in there that's not in this and kind of vice versa. So really what I recommend here is your Calendly link, right? A way for someone to book a time with you. And pick 1 or 2 of these. Don't do all of these. But you can have your website or landing page, some free or kind of paid digital products, some kind of way to opt into a newsletter, and then some kind of lead magnet or free resource. So pick 1 to 2 of those. Okay, that really wraps up the section around like your profile optimization, kind of everything you need to know before you post. So to kind of quickly recap, number one is you have to understand the goal of your profile. What are you trying to do and who are you trying to attract? So again, for most people, it's probably getting leads. And you can do multiple of these things as you go and get on. I do multiple of these things now. But really in the beginning, you want to focus on one thing and you want to really build out around that. And then everything else kind of just stems from it. So for me, it's leads. It's specifically focused on e-commerce brands. It's around basically making sure that people know I'm an expert. And then the content also will speak to that. So the profile speaks to that, and then the content's going to speak to that. And then you want to optimize the sections I talked about. making sure you have a good professional profile photo, a great banner, a good kind of tagline description, and stacking kind of your feature section with the best one or two things. So that was a lot. Hopefully that was helpful. Now we're going to talk about everything you need to know about actually posting content on LinkedIn. And we're going to start here with the post formats and content types. So here, basically, you already know how to do those things. And now let's talk about content. Your growth on LinkedIn is entirely and largely dependent on the quality of the content you create. It is one of the biggest levers you can pull, right? The two main levers you can pull outside of optimizing your profile is content and distribution. And I'm going to talk about distribution later. It's something that I offer. I work with about 250 to 300 clients on helping them grow their followings. A lot of them are agency owners and personal brands and SaaS companies. Highly recommend reaching out to me if you want information on that. It's a growth service plus community, and it's fantastic. But content is the number one thing that then helps the growth service boost you like no other. Now, we have clients doing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of impressions every single week because the content is good. If your content is good, we really can boost you really strongly and really far. If your content sucks, we can boost you just a little bit. So content is the biggest thing. And I've noticed that people are afraid to share their best content. And this is the wrong thinking. And really, there's this quote that says, the paradox is the more information you give away, the more people will buy what you have to give. So don't be afraid to give your best stuff away. This was a fear of mine early on, and I'm so glad I got past it because now I'm focused on delivering so much free value that people feel inclined to work with me and buy my paid stuff. There's no obviously requirement, but a lot of people feel like that just because I create such high quality content. And let's talk about post formats. So there's kind of four primary post contents on LinkedIn. There's text only, there's text plus image, there's text plus video, and there's documents, which are called also carousels. And then the secondary post formats are polls and LinkedIn newsletters. So let me show you each of those one by one. So text only, right? So just like it sounds, as you can see on my screen, this was a text only post I did. There's no image, there's no video, there's no visual. Text does all the talking. And with text only, two best practices are avoid big blocks of text, right? If they're big blocks of text and they're just long paragraphs, it's going to be really hard to read, right? A lot of people too use LinkedIn on their mobile. So they want to have kind of lines and breaks. So you want to be concise. So you can see here, right? I do a lot of spacing kind of between the sentences and then a space between sections. So this is a great way to do it. And then with this, the first sentence, right, your hook, is the most important sentence you have. This is basically going to be a make or break on whether people are going to click read more to read the entire post or not. So you have to give people a reason to keep reading. So the next one, right, is text plus image. It's exactly what it sounds. It's some kind of photo, screenshot, infographic, or static visual accompanied by text. So you can see two examples here, right? Text at the top for the description, and then an image here. Text, and then image here, right? So here, an eye-catching visual is really important, right? Something that catches people's attention through the colors, through the format, through the content, right? This is super important. And LinkedIn's data is showing that image posts typically get 2 times more comments than those without an image. So if you think about text versus text plus image is way more engaging. This is my personal favorite. This is my personal go through. And then, right, text plus video is the exact same thing as text plus image, but we're obviously swapping a video for an image. And with video right now is having an absolute field day on LinkedIn. They're really pushing video, right? Some of you have probably noticed the video tab in beta. Some of you have noticed it kind of out of beta. And they're kind of almost doing like a TikTok style feed where video is going to be king. So if I were you, I would focus on text plus image and text plus video. Those, in my opinion, are the two best formats right now on LinkedIn to make sure that you're taking advantage of the algorithm. And the videos on LinkedIn can be up to 15 minutes long. But again, most people aren't going to watch a 15-minute video on LinkedIn. So I would aim between 30 to 60-second, really good, kind of punchy videos. Those are having the most success right now across my account and kind of our hundreds of clients' accounts. And again, I think video is only going to increase, but take advantage of it right now because when it's new, you're going to be pushed. A lot of our clients that come to us with only a few thousand followers are able to get tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of views on their videos because they're early. We're at the very beginning of the wave with video. And I think this early wave is going to last for 3 to 6 months. So the time is now. And then we'll be the middle of the wave, and then kind of will be standard, but video is the move. And I just please just do it. And then the last one, kind of the main one before focus on the secondary ones, is what's called a LinkedIn carousel. And the official format is what's called a document. And essentially is a slide style, kind of a slideshow type post that allows you to share image, graphics, along with captions and headlines. And they appear as kind of large cards as if you're sliding through a PDF. So you can see here, this is 11 slides. You can make this bigger. You click this arrow right, and you kind of go and see the next one. And people can also download this, so keep that in mind. So you want to make sure that you give it a title. You want to make sure it's good. I typically will take my Twitter threads, and then I'll quickly and easily turn them into kind of a carousel. And I kind of get a double dip on content that's already proven to work. So I was doing a lot of these. I was doing at least one or two of these a week for a while. I'm doing them less frequently, but they're still a good format. And then the other ones I didn't really go through were just polls and basically a LinkedIn newsletter. Those aren't really as important, so I'm not going to spend really any time on those. And then content types. So this is a big one. So make sure that you understand these. This is something that people ask all the time and something that people get confused about. There are three primary types of content you need to create on LinkedIn. And again, as I have been, I'll share slides on each of these, so don't worry. But the first one is broad. The second one is authority or authoritative content. And the last one is promotional. So number one, the goal of broad posts is kind of more of these posts that can go viral. This is kind of general posts around a specific industry or niche that you care about. If you're an email marketer, you shouldn't start talking about politics or religion. Like, you don't want to go that broad. You want to talk about things that are still relevant to what you do, or else you're just wasting eyeballs and kind of you're attracting the wrong followers. But the goal here, though, is you need these posts to drive views, because if you had the views, you can funnel people to follow you. You can funnel them to subscribe to your newsletter. You can funnel them to reach out to you and work with your freelance business, your agency business, your SaaS business, whatever it might be. So this content, again, does need to be related to your industry, but you want to attract a wider audience here. So for me, right, as an e-commerce email marketer, I talk a lot about e-commerce email marketing, but it's more niche, right? It's more authoritative, which we'll talk about in the next content type. So I want to reach a larger audience. I'll talk about entrepreneurship or copywriting or just general email marketing that's applicable to any industry, vertical or niche. So broad posts are important. And broad posts kind of take the following shapes and sizes. Personal stories. So I talk sometimes about like my business failures. A lot of people only talk about success. I'll talk about kind of personal stories with a failed business, and it really shows relatable. And everyone kind of has these things that they can get behind. I'll share kind of funny moments in businesses, maybe like a client call where we had nothing but bloopers, right? Or just kind of funny moments with the team on, team building, or kind of funny moments building the business from, whatever it might be. Memes is another great one. Kind of business memes, sales memes, marketing memes. These do really, really well. Trending news, whether it's about an event, whether it's about some kind of iOS update, some kind of Facebook update, email update, right? These types of trending news are important. And then tips and advice that appeal to a large audience and that are easy to implement. So here's a couple examples. So I kind of alluded to this first one on the left, businesses that have failed at. So t-shirt company, a DM tool, a CBD brand, a celebrity video service. So I talk about how this was painful and they wanted me to quit. But if the game was easy, everyone would do it. Don't give up. And I had a longer form post of the text talking about like, hey, if I didn't fail at these things, it wouldn't have led me to building, businesses that do an aggregate of 8 figures. And then, right, that was kind of one. Another example, right, is kind of broadening it up and talking about copywriting and kind of sharing a helpful tip about you have 3 seconds to spark a dopamine rush. Here's how to do it. And here's an example, right? A lot of people really like the old kind of school car ads. Porsche has some fantastic one. Volkswagen has some great ones. So sharing kind of an example that was popular in the past and talking about kind of how to do this, right? So this is a broad post, but it's still specific. I'm still attracting people on both these posts that are interested in business, interested in writing, interested in kind of becoming a better marketer, entrepreneur, etc. And the next one, right, is the authoritative post. And this is really kind of where you optimize your profile, you build it out around a single thing, and you get to double down in your post and show people that you are the number one or kind of one of the top dogs in your space. So here, you can create authority posts by sharing your workflows, your processes, your client stories, and lessons you've learned. And it's important to note, you're going to probably get less engagement on these, but that's fine. These are not trying to go viral. These are not trying to go broad. These are trying to reach the right people, right? Your ideal target audience. And you have to have this mix as well. right? So you have the broad post to get the eyeballs and get the followers. You've got the authoritative post to basically have people in your audience be like, wow, Chase knows what he's talking about. I have to reach out to work with him now if I have an urgent need, or in the future when I have a need. And these allow you to stay top of mind and build trust. And with this, right, here's an example. So I basically talk about, hey, an e-commerce company, an e-commerce brand, right? They approached us to do an audit because they had low open rates and low click-through rates. By the way, most companies face these things and want to always improve these. So after analyzing their account, here's your recommendations. So I just basically say, without saying the company, without giving kind of any insights away into who they are, I don't want to kind of put anyone on display without their permission. So I basically anonymize this, but I share tips and tricks. Hey, their email segmentation is not doing great. They're just batching and blasting. They're not sending personalized content because they're not doing segmentation. They're doing no subject line A/B testing, right? And their low open rates are probably stemming from that. They're not optimizing their design for mobile, which is probably why they have low click through rates, right? So I'm just sharing kind of, and I go on and on talking about like why that's the case. And then, right, I kind of also talk about another example. We've worked with hundreds of clients, we've generated hundreds of millions of revenue. Here is our repeatable playbook by raking in the dough from email marketing. E-commerce brands, this is for you. So I'm speaking specifically to them. And as you can see, right, I'm talking about, hey, you need to master segmentation. Step one, step two, action items. Number two, right, ensure mobile responsiveness, right? Steps, action. Make sure you have flows. Make sure you focus on improving your CTAs. So I'm just really speaking to the clients that I want to work with, and I'm sharing very specific examples, right? So you can kind of see engagement wise here. This had 188 likes. This had 45 comments, 20 shares. Whereas like the authoritative one, right? This had 1,200 likes, 139 comments, 83 reposts. So again, broad posts are going to get way more engagement. Authority posts, though, are where you really attract the right people. And then the last one is the promotional post. And right, the goal here is to promote something, sell some kind of product or service. But I want to make sure that like, you're in the right mindset here. Most people don't want to be promotional because they don't want to be called a sellout. They don't want to come across as douchey. They don't want to come across as cringe. They think I need to build rapport with my audience first. And yes, you do, but there's so much rapport that you can build before there's diminishing returns. So give value, right? Focus on value. I'm going to talk about the difference between value and promotions in 1 second, but give value, but you also have to promote. Don't leave money on the table. And people think, right, oh, people are going to unfollow me. They're going to hate me if I promote my business. And the reality is, no, they won't. This is a false story and false narrative that you're telling yourself. If you believe that your product or service can genuinely help someone, you should promote it. Because of these limiting beliefs, people spend months, maybe even years, building an audience, but they don't make a single dollar. And I get it. If you don't have a strategic approach to selling on LinkedIn, you're going to rub people the wrong way. And over the last few years, I've driven 7 figures in revenue by posting on LinkedIn. And no one has called me a sellout, douchey, or cringe for it, at least not to my knowledge. And because I don't know about it, it doesn't really matter. And if they had, it doesn't matter because there's probably been such a small percentage of people, and I'm making so much money for myself, for my family, for my team, for my clients, right? For my partners, that it doesn't really matter. I'm doing it the right way. And I've really built a great personal brand around being transparent and adding value and providing great products and services, really. So again, while the goal is to sell, you want to do it tastefully. And the easiest way to promote it is to give value and then make an ask. And you do this through a case study, a client result, or a client success story. Break down how you got the result and then mention that you can do it as well. It's a really subtle way to do it. And again, these will get lower reach, but we're not looking for reach. We're looking for sales. So here's an example, right? These are basically the same post. The left side is the first half, the right side is the bottom half. So basically, I'm saying, hey, here's e-commerce brands, how they should basically set up their teams. I call this the core four. And this is a formula that I came up with. And I share, you need a marketer, designer, copywriter, developer. And let's share, what these people need to have experience, what they need to be responsible for, and the tools they need to use. And I said, by the way, I know this can be overwhelming. If you don't want to build out your in-house team, let's talk about how my agency can help you. We're going to be way more cost effective, and we're going to be way more, professional. We've done this, 101 times for 101 brands just like yours. So I basically lay out how to do it. So a lot of people are going to do it themselves, but a lot of people are also going to be like, man, I got to go hire 4 people. I got to manage 4 people. It's going to be super expensive to build this out. I might as well work with Chase. And then, hey, do you want help building out your internal team, right? Maybe you do want to do this. My little brother does e-commerce recruiting. So this post basically, or hey, do you want to do this in-house, right? But you need a course? I have the best and most popular course on the entire internet for e-commerce email marketing. That's a fact. Thousands and thousands of people, Klaviyo, SendLane, everyone recommends it, right? So basically, I gave loads and loads of value, right? So 80% of this post is value. And then the last 20% is basically saying, 1, 2, and 3, here's how I can help you. Hit me up, right? And this had 66 comments, almost 200 likes. I got dozens of DMs. And this signed, I think after the dozens of DMs, I think we signed 2 or 3 clients from this personally. I sent my brother 2 intros, and then I had, I think, 1 or 2 course sales. So this post was probably responsible for tens of thousands of dollars if you add kind of the retainer of what we charge, kind of the price of the course, plus the fee my brother takes. This was tens of thousands of dollars from this probably single post. Right, here's another one, basically sharing tons of tips and tricks on how we at our agency use CTAs to beat the industry average. And by the way, if you want to crush your 2024, 2025 goals, shoot me a message to see how we can help. We work with brands like 8 Sleep, Health Aid, and Poopery, right? So this is such a great way to be promotional in a way that comes across still very helpful and not like douchey or cringy. I'm not posting saying, look at me, we're the best, we're amazing by itself. I'm leading with value and reminding people, hey, the reason I'm able to create this content, the reason that we're able to do this is we know what we're doing. Reach out to us. Let's see if we can help you. So that was a lot. I know I'm just kind of rapid firing things. We've now gone through kind of the types of content you can post on LinkedIn, plus the post formats, right? The image, the videos, the text only, the carousels. We've talked about the 3 types of posts you should be creating. Now I want to talk about really quickly, the majority of your posts should be broad or authoritative. 80% of your posts should be some kind of value, and then 20% of your posts should be selling. So say you post 5 times a week, once a day, Monday through Friday, then 4 of the 5 posts should be value, and then 1 should be promotional. So the pattern here is give value first and then ask. But don't hold your ass for years, because then you're going to be basically making $0, or you're not going to even last a couple years if you're making no money, because you're going to throw in the towel and be like, well, I gave a lot of value, but I made no money. It's because you're not asking. You're just doing value, which that's great. You need to do that, but you have to ask. If you don't ask, you're never going to get. Okay, so what's working best right now, plus 5 visual formats that work well. Again, on my LinkedIn growth agency, we're working with somewhere in the kind of the realm of 250 to 300 clients. I have tons of insights across my own account, my wife's account, my pages, and close to 300 other accounts on what is working and the best formats. So pay attention. This is super important. Right, I kind of just mentioned this, but number 1, highly visual content is working. And humans are highly visual creatures, right? So images and videos capture way more attention, way more effectively than words themselves do. And videos and images are way easier to stand out in the feed. They generate more impressions and more comments, and they're ultimately responsible for the fastest growing accounts on LinkedIn. They are creating content like this. So make sure that you do visual content as well. And if you need help with someone to do graphics, images, video editing, ghostwriting, copywriting, hit me up. I've got a great network of folks to help with all these things. So if you need ghostwriting, if you need help with content, hit me up. I've got the plugs, and I'll connect you with someone that will be great, whether it's my own team or other people kind of in my network. I will look out for you. So hit me up. Obviously, you're going to have to pay them for it, but I'll connect you at no cost. Just reach out, send me an email, send me a DM, drop a comment on this post, and we'll get in touch. Okay, so the best types of things is when you try to take really good written text with some kind of visual, right? A photo, an infographic, right? The infographics are great because they're very shareable. Some kind of table, chart, graph, a screenshot of a text or an email, carousel, a video, right? So lean into this. LinkedIn, as I mentioned before, is pushing images, and they're starting to push videos really, really hard. Okay, so if you look at my account, you'll notice that every single post has some kind of image, GIF, or video, right? Every single one does without fail. And even in sometimes just a tweet, right? It's just in the tweet format where the text is the tweet and then the screenshot is a tweet. So that's like the simplest way to do it if you don't have resources or time to make other visuals. But here you can see, right, on my thing, I have a table. This first one's a table up top. Then I have a screenshot of an image. And then this was just kind of a thing I quickly made within Canva, just a quick kind of template I made. So number one format that works really well right now on LinkedIn is a cheat sheet. And why do these work well? Well, people can easily kind of save and bookmark these for later. Number two, they're highly shareable. People will like, comment, and repost them. And they're very valuable, right? People are always looking for a quick hack to get their desired outcome, right? So if you create valuable cheat sheets, they work really, really well, right? They have to be valuable. So when should you use a cheat sheet? When you have information that can be distilled into simple points or steps. When you can take complex information or a lot of information and turn it into simple kind of bullets or numbers. And you want to basically do this on topics where frequent reference is beneficial. So guidelines, rules in your industry. And the easiest way to do this is just go use Canva, right? They have tons of great built-in things. You can create a free template there. You can use templates there, make a free account. And if if you have a designer, if you're good with Photoshop, you can do Photoshop as well. So a cheat sheet's great. Here's a really simple one, right? This was one I did on power call to action tips to increase clicks and conversions. This basically said, and the reason this worked is it was actionable and concise, right? There was very easy to skim. There was no fluff. I organized it well, different colors, kind of different titles, and it had different icons and different things that make it visually appealing, right? So numbers, kind of boxes, rows, columns, right? Like it's just easy. I tell people to kind of share it and save it. This was a really great kind of cheat sheet. The next one is carousels. I already talked about carousels kind of in a previous format, so I don't want to talk about this too long, but these work well because they're interactive. It's better than reading a wall of text. They're going to stay on your post for longer, which is a signal to LinkedIn's algorithm that this is a good post. And they're easy to read. The text is good, right? So you want to use these to explain step-by-step processes or workflows and for storytelling when you want each slide to tell part of a narrative, right? So again, use Canva, use Photoshop. Here's kind of a quick one I did was basically 5 hacks to save time on your job search. This was actually a sponsored post that did quite well. And just some tips. So write the post first as you would, take the sections into chunks, and then use a font, color scheme, and layout that's cohesive, and use high quality images. So this is pretty easy, and make sure that's readable. So this is carousels. Oh, and actually, this is an important one. Most people are kind of confused on how to upload a carousel. You don't upload it as an image. It's supposed to be a PDF document, and you basically import it as a document on LinkedIn, right? So it'll basically be a PDF that you have on your computer that you upload as a document, and then you click document, you upload it, right, etc. So infographics. Infographics are great. This is something I'm doing a lot right now because they're just so great and visually compelling, and they're super shareable. So the great thing about the kind of infographic is you want to use it to summarize research, data, or findings, compare different topics or categories, or share frameworks. So I think most people know what an infographic is. You can use kind of Engage, Canva, Photoshop. I don't really care what you use. And here's a really great one that I did that took a bunch of kind of copywriting formats and frameworks and turned it into one of them. So this is one that I've posted every 3 or 6 months just because it's done so well. So this is an infographic. Most people I think are familiar with them. Memes. Memes. I'm leaning into memes so hard right now that I'm paying someone to help me create a bunch of memes off of content I've done before, kind of just new memes. So I've got someone working with me on this that really understands memes. LinkedIn is a B2B platform, right? And people think that means that you have to be entirely professional. And again, you do have to be somewhat professional. But at the end of the day, like people are humans and business owners want to connect with people that are funny and that are relatable and that are humorous and that are able to take kind of complex and popular topics and just make a joke out of it. So memes are highly consumable and highly shareable. And it breaks down kind of the boring kind of corporate nature of LinkedIn. So I would use memes to highlight common frustrations and absurdities in your industry, jump on common trends, right? So viral topics, common trends, this is a big one. And again, these don't always bring in the most number of followers, the highest quality followers, but these are important posts. So an easy way to make it is a platform called IMG Flip. They have tons of templates you can use for your own ones. Reshare memes you've seen other people create, make sure you give them credit and stay timely and relevant and make sure that it's related to your thing. So again, like for me, I'm only doing memes around email marketing, building an agency, kind of entrepreneurship, copywriting, etc., marketing, right? Things that are like that. So this was one that my account did fairly well, had 1600 or sorry, 1,160 likes, 123 comments, and 155 shares. So it did fairly decent. And it's just talking about how like there's this misconception that it has to be organic content or paid ads. And really the reality is you need both, right? The organic content lifts up the paid ads, which drives the conversions. So most people think it's kind of an or, where it's really an and. So this is just a debated thing that people think was funny, and it was done in a meme that was really funny, right? From the video or the kind of the photo, you don't see them holding each other up. So organic memes is the kind of foundation of paid kind of conversion driven marketing. And then one that works really well for me, that's really simple. That's why I wanted to include this. It's just Twitter, or I guess now X screenshots. So someone doesn't have to click to see more. The text is bigger. It's in a format that's familiar, right? Most people have or use Twitter, and it's a very universal format. So I write my content on Twitter, and I typically just screenshot it, and I'll make sure that dark mode's turned on. I really like the format of dark mode, and then I upload it to LinkedIn, right? So here's kind of one that I used, and then you can kind of just have written text that's either the same or similar. So again, very quickly went through these. Those are the 5 formats that work really well. Um, and to kind of recap, all of that section, it's when possible, add images, visuals, videos to your post. Diversify your content, so focus primarily on broad or authoritative content, sometimes promotional, and really make sure that you follow the types that I mentioned. Okay. And then one I want to talk about too is kind of how to come up with endless content. And I'm going to kind of breeze through this because I've given you a lot on content so far. So, number one, content is all around you. So, when you think about your day, you want to keep out your notepad, right? I just use like the notes section on my phone, and I'll basically write down things as they come to me. And some of the things I'll think about is if I had a call with my team on a one on one or a group call, what advice did I give them? What advice did others give? If there's something that you think is applicable to a greater group that's not just specific to a client that's a one off, but more general, I'll write down that advice. What process did you follow to get clients results? So for me on LinkedIn or for me on email, I'm writing down the tips and tricks that I'm sharing to my clients. On LinkedIn, it might be sharing, hey, you wrote text only for the last week. I think if you turn some of these into images, we're going to be able to get you better results. And what internal documents and SOPs do you have that aren't, proprietary? What can you share? What objections did you get on the sales call, right? Hey, the last 3 sales calls, I tried doing it A, B, and C way. But the most recent ones, I actually tried doing it X, Y, and Z way, and I found an unlock. When I started leaning into social proof sooner, when I started being less pushy, I actually was able to connect with the clients more, and that was allowed them to sign easier. What problems are you solving when you onboard a new client? What did the previous paid ads, previous email agency do, and why are they afraid to trust you? Like all of these things are kind of ways to come up with content. And then study what's working on LinkedIn, both inside and outside your direct market, and then also on other platforms. So 3 places to look for content inspiration that I really recommend. Number one, it's called Answer the Public. So as an email marketer, I can go there and search something like email marketing, and I'll get something back like this. Essentially, these are a bunch of keywords that people are searching. So, will email marketing die? Where do I learn email marketing? How can email marketing help SEO? How does email marketing help me make money? How can I do email marketing effectively? Right? Like how much does email marketing typically cost? How long does it take to get results? Right? So by using this search engine of Answer the Public, you're able to come up with questions and keywords that people have to create content around. So for me, I might say like how effective is email marketing? I might say, hey, when done correctly, email marketing can generate, upwards of 30, 40, 50% for our clients. Right. And the most effective ways we found to do it is ways 1, 2, and 3. Right. That's one post. Another post can be what type of businesses should be using email marketing? Where it's like, hey, any business that is using things online that's capturing emails that wants to convert clients, high ticket items, things that have high frequency purchase where you want to remind people, things where they're kind of sales or psychology driven, things where people have abandoned carts, right? Like you can just go through these one by one and create a post for it. This is so easy. No one is doing this. No one's talking about this. So please start doing this. This is going to help immensely. Right? I kind of talked about this already. Other things is how does email marketing work step by step? So if I wanted to do a step by step breakdown of how email marketing works, I would start by writing content in a Google document. And then I would say that the main ways it works and how to do it properly. So to kind of give you an actual content piece that I might write, step one looks like this. So even before we start building our email list, we need to have traffic. So if we can't get people to our website, we can't have emails to capture. There's going to be no email capture. So step one is make sure you have traffic. Step two is now let's assume that we have traffic. We need to turn that traffic, those visitors, into an email list. The best way to do this is through an email pop-up, right? And then I'd share a little bit about what an email pop-up is and how to create one. And now step three, now that we have the traffic, we have the pop-up, we're collecting emails, we now need to build out what's called a welcome series for non-buyers. That's basically going to serve content to people that give us their emails, trying to engage and convert a percentage of those into customers, right? And then I'd go on talking about other automations, talk about campaigns, I talk about segmentation. And when you know a lot about a certain topic, just having the prompts and being prompted will spark the inspiration you need. So I would leverage this for written content I made for a couple things, right? Etc. So that's number one. And then, right, other places you could do is you can do the exact same thing on Google. You basically would write a search keyword and you would see the things that Google's going to try to autofill for you. Those will be your topics. And then the last one is to look at something like a Reddit to see what's popular, what's common, what's trending, and take those topics and write about it. Put your own spin on it, put your unique content on it, put your own taste and flavor on it. And those are like three really quick, easy ways to look for content inspiration. So if you start doing that and you have questions, let me know. And if you start creating good content, the next thing you need is distribution and boosting. Hit me up, work with us. We will help you crush it. Okay, now let's talk about frequency and timing on how to post consistently. So we went through tons of information on the right content. We talked about those types of things. Now I want to talk about how to often post and ideal timing. So I would worry less here about the time that you post and focus more on posting regularly. And ideally, you'll post around the same time every single day during business hours for your ICP, if it's conducive to your own time zone. So for me, I'm based in California. I'm on Pacific time. Most of my clients are in US friendly time zones. Some are in Europe, some are in Asia, some are elsewhere. But I'll typically post my morning PST, typically around 6:30 to 7 a.m. PST, because I found that that can touch all the US time zones and it can touch Europe before they're signing off, etc. And people will basically say, hey, even if I can't post during my ICP time zone when they're online, should I schedule it? Yes, you can. I personally don't recommend scheduling for a few reasons. Number one, I'll probably forget that I post and not check LinkedIn if people have comments or questions. There might be an error with your post that you won't be able to catch till later. And you won't be able to answer the questions in a timely manner, which is super important. And you won't be able to do distribution. Getting your post distribution within the first hour is crucial. That's so important for the success of your post. So you want to post when you're able to be online. So I personally don't like scheduling for that reason. And then the next thing, right, is like I typically like to post once a day. I find that if you're short on time, aiming for one quality post a day is the ideal. If you have a lot of time and you're going to really take this seriously, you could potentially do two posts. If you are going to do two posts, though, you want to make sure that there's enough time in between the two posts because the first post and the second post, if you post it too quickly, the second post is going to cannibalize the reach of the first post. So I say minimum of 6 to 8 hours in between posts, but typically I like to wait at least 12 to 14 hours. And if I have a post that's actually doing really, really well from the first one of the day at 6:30 or 7 a.m., I won't post a second time because I want that post to really boost in the feed. So something like a Twitter, they don't really care about frequency and kind of volume. You can post 6 times and it doesn't really cannibalize the post nearly as much. On LinkedIn, it's really about quality. So I would say one good post a day is probably ideal, potentially with a second post, but give yourself enough time in between. Um, so yeah, I'd say like that was kind of the sweet spot. I kind of talked about this already. All right, we've talked about a lot. Now we're going to talk about growing your following. So I'm going to explain the algo and how to actually get engagement. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully you're still following along. Right. So let's talk about this, right? It's kind of one of those things where, like, if the tree falls in the forest, but no one's there to see the tree, did it fall? And it's the same type of thing with content. I see so many people putting in the work to create great content only for no one to see it. So, what's the point of actually creating great content if no one's going to see it, right? Right. And obviously, you should still do it. But the reason being is they've ignored the most important and crucial piece of the LinkedIn growth equation, which is distribution. Again, the most important thing is, right, optimizing your profile. That's easy, that's quick. But the two most important things you can do is high quality content and distribution. If you do those things well, you are going to have a field day on LinkedIn and you're going to run laps around most people because most people are only doing one of those. And they're typically doing content and their content's probably mediocre at best. So if you can do really good content plus distribution, you will crush it. Hundreds of our clients are crushing it. This is a repeated formula that is working time and time again for us. So I want to kind of talk about the algorithms, and they all work fairly similarly. So essentially, what happens is you'll do a post, but whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, etc., and they're going to push it to a small percentage of your followers. And that basically is going to be the test for them to say, how are those people engaging? If those people are engaging strong and well, then they're going to push it to a larger percentage of your content, of your followers. And if those people do well, it's just going to keep posting, kind of pushing to a larger percentage of your followers. And eventually it's going to start reaching non-followers. And all these platforms are looking for signals. So back to LinkedIn, LinkedIn's looking for signals like, did people reach your hook and look at your image? Did they click the see more button? Did they spend time reading your post? Did they engage with your post, right? Did they react to it? Did they leave a comment, etc.? Are they interacting with other people in the comment section? Are they looking at your profile after reading your post? Did they repost the post? Did they watch your video or flip through your carousel? Right? These are all the things that are super crucial to being seen. Right? So to summarize, the way that the algorithm works is when someone likes, comments, or repost with your post, a percentage of their audience is going to see your post because they've engaged with it. So each of these engagement that other people do for you is almost like a free ad or a testimonial from those people saying that this post is good. So the more posts that you get, and the more posts that you get engagement on, the quicker that you get them is crucial for you being seen, right? And this is part of distribution. The more engagement on the post, right, the more engagement it's going to get, the flywheel it becomes. And the quicker that you get an engagement, again, the first hour is super important. And this is also the case for platforms like Twitter as well. So how do you get the engagement, right? And that's what we're going to be covering. The engagement is the hack for LinkedIn. And there's a lot of ways to get it. There's three types of engagement I mentioned before: likes, comments, and reposts. We're going to focus on comments because comments take the most amount of time, the most amount of effort. Users hitting likes and reposts is pretty effortless. Again, they're important, unless they do a repost with their thoughts, which is the least common, but it does happen. So LinkedIn hasn't said this, but my hunch is the more effort someone needs to take with your post, the higher LinkedIn weights it on showing it to other people. So that's why I believe comments are the most important for your reach, with reposts at a close second. And likes are probably the least, but likes are still important. So if you can get someone to comment your post, they're also going to likely comment, right? So if they comment, they're also going to like and probably potentially repost as well if the post is good and resonates with the audience. So there's a few ways to get comments. Number one, the easiest way to get more comments on your post is to comment on other people's posts. I know it sounds simple. It is, but it isn't. There's a lot that goes into leaving the right comments. But again, to reiterate, because that's probably one of the most important things, is the easiest way to get more comments on your own post is to comment on other people's posts and to be active in your own comments and respond to people that take their time to leave comments, responding to them, answering their questions, saying thanks, etc. And then getting likes on your own posts, right? There's three kind of ways. Number one is organic. Number two, comment trades. And number three is paid comments. I'm not going to talk too much about paid comments today, but if you want to kind of get involved in our community, if you want to join our growth service, reach out to me. This is going to be the easiest way to save you time and get you the best results on LinkedIn. Hands down, guarantee this is the best way to do it, although you still want to do the other two, right? This is basically going to shortcut the growth. So organic comments. These happen basically two ways. One, they happen naturally from your followers who see your post. And B, basically you putting in the work and commenting on other people's posts and them hoping to basically return the favor and comment back on yours. And then with that, right, like you can do comment trades. So comment trade basically is an agreement between you and someone else or multiple others where you guys like and comment on one another's posts. This can be you and your business partners. This can be you and your team. This can be you and your industry peers. It's basically just putting together kind of an unofficial group where you guys want to support each other. And that's kind of the easiest, quickest way to get started is just getting other people to support you and you support them. And it's super important. This is a very important note. If you do trade comments, make sure that you remove the UTMs. Not that there's anything wrong with you supporting other people, but you don't want to have the UTMs. It's a signal to LinkedIn that maybe you're doing something you're not supposed to, even though, if you're finding 2 or 3 people to support you, it's really not a big deal. Everyone's doing it. So make sure like in this link that you would remove this question mark onward. And it's probably better to send each other links off of LinkedIn on iMessage, WhatsApp, or Telegram, or whatever platform. You can do it on Twitter DMs, you can do it on Facebook Messenger. Doesn't quite matter, right? So those are the 3 ways to do it, right? So getting more comments, though, to reiterate, the easiest way to get more comments is to comment on others. So you want to focus on 3 people: your own followers, right? So if they're kind of engaging with you, you want to engage back, A, within your comment section, B, on their post. 2 is your ICP, and 3 are your peers. Right. So common comment mistakes. So one common mistake I see is people ignoring their own post section. So don't just go solely comment on other people's posts. Make sure you respond to comments on your own posts. And when you engage with comments on your own post, you're subconsciously reinforcing the behavior of your commenter because it feels good to be noticed. And when you comment and you notice them, they're going to engage back. So you basically want to do this for others. Then number 2 is ICP posts. So you want to comment on posts to build a relationship with others. So especially if you are doing this for, say, for example, you're an e-commerce email marketer, you want to go comment on e-commerce brand founders or e-commerce executives or e-commerce kind of VPs. So comment on their posts for a few weeks, then send them a connection request, then send them a DM, and just be helpful. Give them free value, and then pitch your offer, right? But this should happen over time. Don't add them and then pitch them right away. You want to comment on their stuff, show them that you're engaged, that you see them, they'll see you, build out the relationship, and then kind of subtly offer value on your peers' posts. So your peers typically have the same target audience you want. So as you comment on their stuff, a percentage of their followers are going to see your name. And then if they comment on you, a percentage of their followers are going to see your post. It's typically best not to comment on your direct competitors, although with our LinkedIn growth service, I'm commenting on tons of competitors and giving them tons of business as a result. So I don't really care about it because I want to help people and whatnot. But it's typically better if you do this for people that aren't competitive. So if you're an e-commerce marketer, do this with a paid ads person, do this with a CRO person, do this with an SEO person. Find like a nice kind of peer group to help each other. Right. So if you don't know how to find people in your industry, you literally just use the search tab, like type in e-commerce, D2C, retail, and then filter by service category, find people that are active and posting consistently like you, add them to a list, make sure they have similar followings to you. Pretty straightforward. Okay, we've gone through a lot. This is the last and really important section is if you've done the things I've talked about, optimize your profile, posting content, getting engagement, especially if you're working with us, this section is super important. This is taking all the impressions that you're getting, hopefully the thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands a week or a month that you're getting. This is how you turn the impressions into clients. And very few people are actually doing this. So again, reiterating on the fact, 80% of B2B leads come from social media, from LinkedIn. That's insane. The other thing that's insane is HubSpot did a study and found that LinkedIn has the highest visit to lead conversion rate for businesses. It was 3.5 times higher than Facebook, 3 times higher than Twitter. So basically what that means is when someone is engaged with you on LinkedIn, they're visiting your page, they're visiting your profile, they're visiting your company, they are going to be 3.5 or 3.9 times higher than the other platforms to actually convert and work with you. And LinkedIn also has the highest average salary across any social platforms. 44% of LinkedIn users make more than $75,000 a year. Twitter was second at 41%. So LinkedIn is the most affluent social platform. So this is super important. Okay, there's a couple things. So one, the nice thing about LinkedIn is you can update your post description at any time. So the caption of your post can be updated at any time. So what I typically do is I'll make a post on email marketing, whatever it might be, copywriting, marketing as a whole. And then after a couple hours, after I get some engagement, I'll go in and I'll update the post. I'll add something like a PS that promotes one of my relevant courses, products, or services. So it could be a link to buy one of my courses. It could be a link to subscribe to my newsletter. It could be a link to fill out a form to chat with me about a service. It could be a mention for them to DM me. And the reason I'm doing this right away is if you put a link right away, LinkedIn's going to deprioritize your post because you're linking off the platform. And two, people are going to be less likely to engage with your content because it's going to be overly promotional. So here's an example. This was a kind of an infographic that I made, a nice post that I made, a nice visual. This was the text here. It just talked about here are 8 copy elements you should text. And then a few hours later, I basically added a PS. By the way, we've run thousands of A/B tests for our clients over the years. If you want to work with a best-in-class email agency, hit us up, right? So adding kind of just a subtle PS hey, we do this day in and day out for our clients. Hit us up. The next part, right? This part's a little bit obvious, is dedicated posts about your newsletter products and services. And I know before I talked about adding value and then doing this, I would do this kind of dedicated post about your stuff less frequently. I know 20% of the time I told you should be promotional. I would say like 5% of the time or 10% of the time in a given month, you should be promotional. So maybe like 1 or 2 posts for the month should be kind of dedicated to one thing that you want to really push. This was actually a really great thing that I did where I basically said, hey, I'm leaving this up for 90 minutes. I'm launching a new course. It's almost done. I'm going to give you 60% off because I want testimonials before it launches next week. Just drop a comment saying course. I had 220 people drop a comment in the first hour, and I think I converted like dozens of those into sales. So I think this post alone did thousands of sales, thousands of dollars of sales, I should reiterate. So I want to share kind of one of the best posts that I did on my LinkedIn growth agency. I did this post on, I think, Twitter and LinkedIn, where basically our client, Jonathan, who he's just blown up, we've taken him from, I think, 5,000 to almost 100,000 followers in like 8 months. By the way, I have to mention, this is rare. His content's amazing. We'll help a lot of people over that same period of time go from 5 to 20, 5 to 30,000, 5 to 50,000 potentially. Right, a lot of people gain hundreds or maybe even thousands of followers a month. His growth was just absurd. He knows the content game. His content's world class. He baits a lot of engagement through making people engage with his stuff, which drives it bonkers in the algo. But basically, within our first 3 weeks of working with him, he drove 4,300 followers. Right, 4,300 new followers came from working with us. And he got 1,700 of those followers in 24 hours from a single post. So I basically posted this thing like, hey, I'm seeing LinkedIn favor smaller, newer creators. There's a huge opportunity in the platform. Comment reach, and I'll send you information on our growth service. So this basically was taking kind of this testimonial that was legit. You can see the screenshot here of him giving us kind of legit updates and stats. And then me talking about, hey, LinkedIn is going to favor small creators. Hit us up, comment this, and I'll reach out to you. And this post drove quite a bit of followers for me and quite a bit of clients for me. And then I put ad spend behind it. So this post still drives tons of clients for me. So this was great. And the goal here was just leveraging social proof and being authentic and telling people to do something, right? Comment reach, and I'll send you info. Here's another one, right? So one of our clients basically said, hey, I added 3 freelance clients in the last 3 weeks of working with you. I'm like, that's insane. So I basically did a post saying, one of our clients got 3 clients in 3 weeks. His content plus our engagement equals winning. And then the last one I basically did was a video of my buddy named Cardinal Mason. He basically sent me a video and kind of did a recording with me saying, dude, the results that you're getting for everyone in your service, myself and others, it's just insane. Like, you need to double the price. So I basically said, hey, I'm thinking about doubling the price. If you message me ASAP, I'll basically grandfather you into the current pricing. So this video with Mason kind of talking to me about this, telling me about this on the podcast, did really, really well. Right, here's a couple other examples. Okay, another tip for landing clients is turning on post notifications for your ICP. This also works on Twitter. So what you want to do is you want to find a group of 20 to 30 people in your ICP and turn on notifications for their posts. This way, you'll know instantly when they post, and you can go leave a thoughtful comment in a timely manner. You want to do this a few times a week over a week or 2 period, and they're going to recognize your name and your face. And then depending on how optimized your profile is and how good your content is and how relevant your comments are, they might even reach out to you. And if not, at the very least, you're going to start building trust, and then they'll be primed for you to reach out to. All right, so also about your ICP is DMing them. So relating on what I said about kind of notifications and leaving comments, the best way to set up yourself for success is leaving a DM. Again, this isn't required. You can just flat out DM your ICP without spending time engaging with their content, but you do want to comment on their stuff. You want to find a way to build know, like, and trust. So compliment them, refer mutuals, and kind of find ways to add value. And this is going to be a numbers game, but if you do it right, you will be able to land clients and meetings from your DMs. We have a client in our LinkedIn growth service that raised $15 million. Again, $15 million for his investment fund from private equity folks from working with us on LinkedIn, and then him having a VA send DMs to people that engage with his content. Okay, so DM warm leads. So LinkedIn has this really cool thing where you can see, I think if you have premium, interesting viewers. And you can see interesting viewers that can get you a job, influencers, people that work at companies, people that work in your industry, people that work in your job function. And what I do is I'll go there and I'll look at that. And I'll basically be able to say, oh, this person's really interesting. LinkedIn's telling me they're interesting. I'll send them DMs. So, for example, at executives at companies I know use and like, or if someone asks a question on my post and they're in my ICP, I'll DM them something. So when DMing, always personalize your message. So make a compliment, a comment, observation about a recent or post or a similar interest. Point out a problem you notice relating to your service. And although you have the same messaging, you can customize the beginning, right? So just doing kind of outreach to these warm leads that are what LinkedIn calls interesting viewers is a great way to do this. So here's a template that I did and that you can steal. Hey, first name, I saw you commented, thank you. I loved your recent post on X, Y, and Z. I wanted to reach out because I noticed you had this pain problem, which is potentially causing this consequence. I actually specialize in solving that. Are you open to more? This has worked really, really well for me. And that concludes this video. These were the exact strategies I've personally used to get over 338,000 followers and drive millions of dollars from LinkedIn. And while I couldn't fit everything that I wanted to in this course, I do have an awesome resource that I put together for you. If you hit the link in the description below, I've put together a free 5-day course on LinkedIn that will teach you the ins and outs of mastering the platform. So just like I gave you tons of content today, I have a bunch of other content that I wasn't able to include in this video that I want to make sure that you get. So hit the link in the description and make sure you sign up for this free course. You'll get it and you'll be able to use it on your own time. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure to hit me up and drop a like and comment if you enjoyed this video.